In this video, I want to be talking all things hamstrings. I want to let you know why most people stretch their hamstrings incorrectly or inefficiently, how you can make sure that you're doing the best hamstrings possible, how you can even know if your hamstrings are tight in the first place, a quick test that you could be doing to see how tight or flexible your hamstrings are, and also hang around to the end of the video where I'm going to let you know exactly why the hamstrings are even called the hamstrings in the first place. So let's go. Thanks for checking out the channel. My name is John, head therapist here at Jon W Sports Injury. Now at this channel, we want to do three simple things: help you understand your body better, get rid of pain and weakness, strive forward so that you can hit your health, exercise and well-being goals. So in this one, we're going to be talking all things hamstrings. Now hamstrings are the muscles that live at the back of the upper legs, and they commonly become tight. Now that can be a problem for multiple reasons. We can get hamstring related pain, but also it can lead to things like knee pain and also a common cause of lower back pain. So if our hamstrings are tight, it's important that if we are looking to stretch them out, that we're doing that in the best way. So firstly, how can we even see how flexible, tight our hamstrings actually are? Well, a quick test that you can do is lay down flat on your back on a flat surface. Now what you look to do is lift up one leg, the leg that you're testing, as high as it can go whilst keeping that knee straight. Now a couple of important points here. We need to keep that knee directly straight, don't allow that leg to bend, and also make sure that your other hip and leg remains flat. Don't allow yourself to rock to lift that leg, or you'll be able to get a false reading and further out the hamstrings. What are you looking to achieve? Well, you should be able to get that leg to be to 90 degrees or straight up without bending it. Now, for a lot of people, that's going to be quite difficult. And if that is the case, that tells us that our hamstrings are actually a little bit tight. So how do we stretch out these hamstrings in our most efficient way? Well, in order to understand how to stretch them out in the best way, we need to understand a couple of facts about the hamstrings that perhaps make them slightly different to some other muscles. Firstly, there's three of them. So we have three hamstring muscles and we want to make sure that we're hitting all three. The second thing is that what we call a biarticulate muscle. What do I mean by that? Well, muscles cross joints to therefore create movement at that joint. So for example, my bicep crosses my elbow so that when I contract my bicep, I get flexion at the elbow. That's what muscles do. But the hamstring muscles are called biarticulate, which means that they actually cross two of the joints. Well, 2/3 of the hamstrings anyway, cross two of the joints. They cross the knee and they also cross the hip. So we can use this knowledge to get the best and most efficient stretches out of our hamstrings. Now the good news is the ability to hit all three and to make sure that we're hitting the biarticulate nature of the muscle can all be done from the same position. And this is a position that I call the hurdler's position, because when we take up this position, it's almost like a person jumping over their hurdle. So we place one knee on the floor and we place our leg directly out in front of us. Now remember, at this stage, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are actually keeping our leg nice and straight. And then what we can look to do is tip forward at the hips. Now, you can tip forward to the amount that you feel that are stretched throughout that hamstring area. So whenever we're holding our static stretches, we want to be holding these for 30 seconds. Now from this position, with a quick modification, we can easily hit each of the three hamstrings. How do we do this? Well, simply we adjust that toe position. So if we want to hit our inside hamstring muscle, all we do is we turn that toe out. So as we turn that toe out, what will happen is you'll feel that stretch move in the same area, but slightly more in the inside aspect of that muscle group. What about if we want to hit that outside hamstring? Well, now what we look to do is move our toe inwards. So again, what we're getting here is that as we move that toe position, you'll feel that stretch moving around inside that hamstring muscle group. So from this same position, we can really effectively stretch out each of those hamstring muscles. And lots of people in clinic say to me, I stretch my hamstrings all the time, but it doesn't seem to make a difference. But when I throw in this modification, they might have only been doing it with the toe straight. And when I throw this modification in, they explain that they really feel that stretch, and that's when they get their benefits. And that's the kind of missing ingredient to really get the best use out of this hamstring stretches. But there's one other thing that I mentioned, the fact that it's a biarticulate muscle, so it crosses both joints. And what I tend to find with people often say that they feel the strongest stretch down towards the knee because that leg is nice and straight. Well, what we can do is we can actually take the knee joint out of this stretch. And in order to do this one, we just needed to find ourselves a step. This could be the bottom stair at home. And by placing that foot on top of a step, what we now get is with the ability to bend the knee, to take the knee off the stretch and make sure that all of the movement this time comes from the hips. So again, we tip those hips forwards. Now what you'll start to feel, and this will take more of a hip movement, a hip hinge or a hip flexion to happen to capture that stretch because we've taken the knee off stretch. But what you'll feel is that stretch a little bit higher up. So if you're somebody who feels that stretch, the earlier one, really strongly around the back of the knee, what we can do is complete this other stretch to really take the top part of the hamstring and increase the flexibility in that area. So that's how, with just a 2-minute stretching routine, you can really efficiently stretch out the whole hamstring group and make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck out of your hamstring stretching time. And what I would challenge you to do is, after doing this program for a week or 2 weeks, redo that test that we did at the start. See if your hamstring muscles are increasing in flexibility, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. And also, I said at the start that I would give you a quick fact around why the hamstrings are actually called the hamstring muscles. Where does this name come from? Well, actually it dates back to a long time ago when butchers used to hang pigs out in the streets. And this is, as I'm told, that at the back of the hamstring muscles, and you'll be able to feel on yourself, at the back of the knee, you'll feel 2 string-like structures. Well, I'm told that these structures are what the butchers used to use to hang up the pigs. So they used to cut off at the leg, take those string-like structures, which are the tendons of the hamstrings, and actually tie them up. So we've got these pigs being tied up by these tendons of this muscle group, and therefore we've got the ham and the string, which made the hamstrings muscles. Has that been helpful for you? Did you know that fact at the end? If you didn't, you can show me by smashing that like button, because that's going to help others to understand how to better stretch their hamstrings and how to get more efficiency and bang for the buck out of their stretching routine. And have you subscribed yet to this channel? If you haven't, why not hit that subscribe button down below, because then I will be keeping you up to date on our next video content as soon as we drop it. Speaking of other videos, here's another one to help you on your way to that well-being journey. And I'm going to look forward to seeing you on the next one.